Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen, the Get Some podcast. And my guest this week is...
This motherfucker Gary.
Hey, this episode is brought to you by Blue Chew. Now listen, Blue Chew wants you to have the confidence to perform at your best. So discover your options at BlueChew.com. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use promo code GETSOME at checkout. Just pay $5 for the shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code GETSOME to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we'd like to thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. What up, everybody? This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. It's a great week. Bengals won. Yeah, you see it? You see it? All right, we'll start off with my schedule. This weekend, I'm in Dayton, Ohio at the Funny Bone. That's October 4th through the 6th. It's in Beaver Creek, Ohio, home of the Beaver Creek Beavers. Could be the worst mascot in the history of high school athletics, the Beavers. What's a mascot you guys played in high school that you were like, what? I always thought the Beaver Creek Beavers, because ain't nobody intimidated by a beaver. That's a terrible mascot. So anyways, October 4th through the 6th, I'm in Dayton. And then October 7th, I am in Tacoma, Washington at Nate Jackson's Super Funny Comedy Club. October 11th and 12th, I'm in Cobb's in San Francisco, California. October 18th through the 20th, I'm in Cleveland at the Funny Bone. And then October 26th through the 25th? October 25th through the 27th, I'm in Columbus, Ohio at the Funny Bone. And let's just go into November. November 1st, I'm at Harrah's Casino in Atlantic City. November 2nd, I'm at Maryland Live in Baltimore. It's Hanover, Maryland, but Baltimore. November 15th, I'm in Detroit at the Motor City Casino. And then November 16th, I'm in Hammond, Indiana at the Horseshoe Casino. So let's just finish up. And then Thanksgiving weekend, I'm in Helium Comedy Club in Indianapolis, Indiana. So that's where I'm at. October, November. Nate Jackson's, like I said, I don't know if I'm pretty sure I talked about it last week, but we're starting our own podcast called Gary and Nate. First episode's gonna air. I think we're gonna come out. We're debating on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, but I'm thinking Wednesday we're gonna have episodes every week. So our first episode will air. Let me see if I'm recording on the 7th. Our first episode is going to air October 9th. So I'm excited, man. It's good when comedians can just come together and be like, yo, let's just make some funny stuff. And good thing about me and Nate, we're both doing okay financially. Our careers are where it's at. We're doing good. But for us, it's not about, obviously you want to make money. That's the goal. That's the whole reason people do podcasts. It's not, I just love it. It's, you want to make a little cash. It's also a creative outlet, but it's just to talk shop, just me and Nate. I think that's the bigger thing. We just want to create funny content and see what happens. So I'm going to be flying out to Tacoma every month. The first Monday of every month, I'm going to be at his comedy club, me and him together, so we're going to have some fun, do some crowd work out new material. So if you're in Tacoma, the first Monday of every month, me and Nate are going to be there. And then we're going to be recording all day Monday, all day Tuesday. He's got his own podcast studio. So it's exciting. It's exciting when you can get rid of all the red tape, get rid of agents, managers, producers, gatekeepers, so to speak, and just create your own content. That's why we're in such a beautiful age right now as a stand-up, is we definitely can control our own narrative, just a la Kev on stage, Andrew Schultz, Bert Kreischer, sorry about that. Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, and these people that just create their own narrative. I'm just like, gotta clap for them. Gotta clap for them. So this week's been a rough one, man. A lot of people died this week. Dikembe Mutombo, anybody that back in the day, man, those Georgetown teams. So I became a basketball fan, college basketball fan, because of Georgetown. Because I was a little kid, and that's when Ewing was at Georgetown, and I was just like, I couldn't get enough. The uniforms, you know, they were the first like hip hop team. Then come to find out, Georgetown is like a super white. You got to be smart as hell to get in that school, and the fact that they hired a black head coach, and he had like mostly all black teams. It was rebellious, I used to eat those Georgetown teams up when Iverson went there, Alonzo Mourning. Funny, there was a guard. His name was Bobby Winston, and when I was in D.C., when I was in the Navy, that's the first time I think I saw celebs, what I thought was celebs, in person. I think I'll give a rundown of the first couple celebs I ever saw in my life. One was Mark Wahlberg, when he was Marky Mark in the Funky Bunch. I was in the Navy, and was I in the Navy? Yeah, I must have been in the Navy. Just got in the Navy. And he got off the plane in Cincinnati, and he was doing a show at Kings Island. They used to have I think it was called, it's not Riverbend, Wolf something? There was an outdoor venue at the amusement park in Cincinnati, and he was performing there. And I remember when I was in town that week, I was on leave. I remember hearing commercials on the radio, and then I'm sitting there, and I see like 8 of the biggest black guys I've ever seen in my life get off the plane, and then Mark Wahlberg was in the middle of them, and I just remember how short he was, and literally I was like, oh, Mark, what's up, man? And that's all I did. And I remember he had these big old headphones on. He was so little, but I remember he had these big old calves, and he was just like, so he acknowledged me, wasn't rude, kept it moving, but he looked at me like, it was funny because I said, oh, Marky Mark, what's up, man? Didn't yell, just, oh. And then the way he looked at me was like, is he about to come ask for a picture and autograph? And you got to realize back then it wasn't iPhone. It was like, if you had a camera, you had the Insta camera that you had to send off and then get it back a week later. So that was like the first like entertainer celeb I ever just saw was Marky Mark. Now, when I was in the Navy and stationed in D.C., there were 2 times I saw what I thought was a celeb. Bobby Winston, who was a guard at Georgetown. There was a place called the Dome. It was a nightclub we used to all go to. And I remember he was just standing there by himself, and I was like, it's Bobby Winston. Now, Bobby Winston had already graduated. He wasn't in the NBA, but as a Georgetown fan from back in the day, I was like, yo. I was telling him, like, that's Bobby Winston. I remember I just walked over and I said, Bobby Winston? And he said, yeah, man, what's up? I go, oh, man, big fan. Da-da-da. We talked for like 2 minutes, and I think he was so happy somebody recognized him and wasn't making a huge scene. It was just like I was talking to him, just telling him what a fan I was. So then I remember when I was in D.C., Alonzo Mourning, I saw him. There was like, I think it was called the Georgetown Cafe. It was like a late night diner spot where a lot of people went. If you know Georgetown, that's where all the bars was. And most of the bars were college bars, so it was 18 and over. So we used to always go there when I was in the Navy. And I just remember I saw Alonzo Mourning get out of a car at like 2 in the morning, and I was lit. And I was like, and that was the one time I did the golden rule. I was obnoxious. I was like, oh, shit, Alonzo Mourning. I remember he gave me almost like, please don't approach me, but I did hear you. And then I just remember he was so big. I never seen anybody that big. And then he went into Georgetown Cafe. So, of course, I told the guys, I was like, I got a zit right here. I told my guys, I was like, yo, we're going to eat at Georgetown Cafe. And so I just remember we was eating. And those were like the best eggs I think I ever had in my life. It's weird how you remember certain things. And I just remember I was watching him eat the whole time. I was like, that's Alonzo Mourning. I can't believe we're in the same cafe as Alonzo Mourning. We're eating eggs. I remember the waitress came over and they said, what do you want? I said, whatever Alonzo Mourning's eating. Because I figured he was all ripped up. So I was going to get ripped up if Zoe was ripped up. But, yeah. So it's funny that Zoe doesn't post on social media a lot, but he's been posting a lot since Dikembe died. And I think people it's hard to find anybody saying anything bad about Dikembe Mutombo. And, I mean, he made the finger wave, iconic. And just 58 years old, brain cancer. And his son sent such a heartfelt post to him about how his dad's his hero. And it's just, you can tell he's just a good guy. And his legacy is cemented. So to all the friends, the ex-teammates of Dikembe, I mean, my condolences to everybody. I've only met him a couple times. I'm not going to sit here and lie, be like, we're old friends and stuff. Nah, just social functions, ran into him. But he was always cordial, nice, just a good dude. So, yeah. And then John Amos died. I mean, the dad off Good Times? Come on. Has there ever been a more intimidating dad on TV than John Amos in Good Times? He looked like the dad you did not want to cross. He looked like he had heavy hands, that if he whooped you, it was going to hurt. And some TV dads, you don't buy it. Carl Winslow, I never bought that he was a cop. I never bought into he was intimidating. Uncle Phil, nobody ever wanted a dad. That wasn't Fresh Prince's dad. That was Carlton's dad. But Uncle Phil, nobody's messing with Uncle Phil. Rest in peace to him too. But yeah, Uncle Phil was a pretty intimidating guy. And then I'm trying to think. Rock. Oh, did Rock have any kids? Rock, he seemed like an intimidating dad, but some dads you're like, Remember Family Ties? Like Alex P. Keaton's dad, never bought that he was intimidating or anything like that, or he was worried about his kids talking back. So I think out of TV dads, John Amos is the most intimidating TV dad. Like disciplinarian, don't cross him. Yeah. I like watching like audition tapes from people. I can't imagine his audition tape for Good Times. I'm like, whoa. Or who didn't get the part. I would love to see people that read for that. But yeah. And then after John Amos, Dikembe passed away, John Amos passed away. And then me being from Cincinnati guy, Pete Rose died. That one, it just, anybody from Cincinnati, we all love Pete Rose. Black people, white people, rich people, poor people. Nobody in Cincinnati doesn't like Pete Rose. That one hit because especially Cincinnati people, we wanted him in the Hall of Fame like he was one of our own, like one of our family members, our cousins, our son, our brother. Because Pete reps Cincinnati. He loves Cincinnati. He was from there, man. Went to Western Hills High School. And it was just like, what's going to piss me off and piss a lot of people off is now that he passed away, they put him in the Hall of Fame. There's nobody in the Hall of Fame. Ask Ken Griffey Jr., ask Reggie Jackson, ask Derek Jeter, ask, I don't know. I bet you every player in the Hall of Fame says, yeah, Pete Rose should be in here. I wish they would make a stand like they did for Reggie Bush, the Heisman. people the way Johnny Manziel went on Club Shay Shay, and that got the groundswell going, and now Reggie got his Heisman back, and he's doing commercials for the Heisman. He's in the Heisman house. That was all because all the Heisman guys got together and was like, no, we want him in. And I wish all the Hall of Famers would do that. You know, the problem with baseball is they act like they're holier than thou. And you got racists in the Hall of Fame from back in the day. You got guys that did drugs. You got assholes. And Pete just wanted to play baseball, man. And he did more. Let me tell you something. The stories I hear about Pete Rose are legendary. And not just the gambling and, he was all in on everything. But he was like, at a time when baseball was racially divided and they were treating black people as less than, Pete Rose was one of the guys like, nah, we're not eating here unless we all can eat here. He was the one like hanging out with black guys on the road. And I've heard some behind the scenes stories from guys in baseball that I don't want to share, but Pete Rose was that dude, man. He was that dude in every way. And God, if they put him in next year, it's really going to piss a lot of people off. Because the one thing he wanted. He said it didn't bother him, but it did. You could tell it aided him because he gave his entire life to baseball. And to have baseball just turn his back on him. And look, that's human nature. When they said, did you bet on baseball? And he said no, and he denied, and then he finally came clean. Human nature is when somebody backs you in a corner, you deny until you realize, oh, I can't deny anymore. And then you just finally come clean. And it's like, I think Stephen A. Smith said, there's murderers that got less time than Pete Rose. And it's no different than Michael Vick with the dogs. He denied, and then he backed him in a corner, and he's like, yeah, I did it. And Michael Vick said it best. He goes, my whole life, I had people that covered for me. I was able to tell other people to take care of this problem, and it kind of went away. And that's what Michael Vick thought with the dog fighting until finally he goes, oh, this ain't going away. Same with Pete Rose. He denied until he realized I can't get out of it. And then I'm sure he felt relieved that he was able to, I bet on baseball. But here's the thing. He never bet against his team. He always bet for his team. So they're like, oh, the sanctity of baseball. No, if you bet against your team, you're point shaving, that's different. When you're looking at your lineup, I'm betting on my team. It doesn't change the way you manage. It doesn't change the way you play. You're going to manage harder. You're going to play harder because you got money on it. I'm just going, at what point do we stop being hypocrites and act like we're holier than thou? And it's almost like, I bet you the people keep them out of the Hall of Fame, they got so many skeletons in their closet. I guess they're just perfect and holier than thou. And stop. Can we please stop with it's like, it spits in the sanctity of the game. Baseball is sacred and we have to be perfect. No. The motherfucker had more hits by a long shot than any other person in the history of baseball. He won everywhere he went. He changed the culture everywhere he went. Freaking nickname is Charlie Hustle. So it just, man, I really wanted that. And I think everybody wanted that moment that we could see him get in the Hall of Fame. We could see him say, oh my God, I made it finally. And then it's almost like, I don't know, I can't explain it. I can't explain how you give your whole life to a sport, to have the sport turn its back on you, but you still don't turn your back on baseball. Pete was he was on the MLB Network. There's a great video of him, Alex Rodriguez, and Frank Thomas talking about hitting. And Pete's just breaking down how if a pitcher pitches you this, you move up in the box. And the thing about Pete, even if you didn't like baseball and you didn't know a lot about it, to hear him talk about it sucks you in, man. He just brings you right in, and you're enthralled. I'm a baseball fan. I'm not like football. I'm not like Bengals. I'm a squad. Like, I love the Reds, but I'm not revolving my schedule around the Reds schedule. I'm not like, leave me alone when the Reds play. But I love football like no other. Pete was baseball through and through. And he was a Cincinnati kid, man. Won titles for the Reds. I'm just going, man, put that man in the Hall of Fame. What's the problem? So, yeah, it's a sad day in Cincinnati. I'll tell you that. You know, God, dang it, Pete. I really wanted him in the Hall of Fame. So, on a lighter story that's kind of funny and not funny, y'all heard of Rashee Rice, the wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs who got hurt? His mom stole a neighbor's package, hours after the game, after her son got hurt. They got her on video stealing another neighbor's package in some apartment building. And I'm going, what? So let me get this straight. Your son's in the NFL. You have a jersey on that's got Rashee Rice's number. You got like Rashee's mom on the back. And you steal a package from a neighbor's door. And I'm going, at this point, people need to realize there's cameras everywhere. If you don't think there's a camera, I don't know how people can still be committing crimes at this age. There are street cameras. Apartment buildings are going to have cameras. Nobody's buying an apartment and there ain't cameras in the hallway. There's cameras on elevators. There's cameras everywhere. And you stole a package with your son's jersey on that says you're his mom on the back. Charlemagne, donkey of the day, is right there. So I hope somebody tag Charlemagne in this and tell him donkey of the day is Rashee Rice's mom. And the fact that she did it right after her son got hurt. They win the game. You figure your focus is on your son. Like, let me go make sure he's good. And then it looks like he's out for the year, tore his ACL. No. I'm going to go steal my neighbor's package. And you don't even know what's in it. I'm like, it's just mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. You're basically saying, yeah, catch me. This is right here. You got it. The way she's looking, too, is like she walks by like a little kid, and she comes back, and then she like tries to kick it. Like we don't see it. There's some instances. Okay, so that's donkey of the day. Give that to Rashee Rice's mom, Charlemagne. If you ain't heard about this story, look it up. But if there's ever a donkey of the day, it's her for sure. It reminded me of like my brother Dallas was little, right? It's when camcorders first came out. So some reason my stepdad had set the camcorder up and didn't realize he didn't press off. He was recording. So it's just recording in the living room. And literally my brother Dallas, he walks by and it's hysterical. He's 5 years old. So he walks by and you see him walk by, you see him walk back and you see like he noticed himself in the camera. But he doesn't I'm sorry. The camcorder was hooked up, but you could see yourself on the TV. So he walks by the TV and he sees himself. So he doesn't realize he's being recorded. So he goes, you see him walk by? He walks by again. And then literally you see him go like, this shitty grin. And then he flicks the camera off. Then he comes back and then he turns his back and flips the camera off again. So we played it back. I'll never forget, Dallas is watching. He's 5 years old. He's watching it. And my stepdad goes, yo, Dallas, why'd you do that? No, he goes, Dallas, did you do something wrong today? And he was like, He goes, you sure you didn't like give the middle finger. Did you use your middle finger? You're not supposed to use that. He goes, mm-mm. So then he plays it on the TV. And it's so funny watching a 5-year-old process information. He's like, so now he's looking, and I'm like, what's about to happen? Yo, there's one thing I miss my brother Dallas so much, because even at 5 years old, he was funny and quick. He said, what were you doing? He goes, well, I was just practicing in case robbers came. I wanted to scare them. So he literally was like, yeah, if somebody tries to rob us, because the trailer park, that's high on a robber's list, because you're gonna get some grade A stuff. You're gonna get that Elvis velvet framed painting. Yeah, you're gonna get that out of the trailer park. Yeah, you're gonna get them knockoff Nikes, them knockoff. Remember Eastland shoes? We had things called it was called Benchmark. We didn't get Eastlands, we got Benchmark shoes. But he said, yeah, I was practicing in case robbers tried to come and rob us. So I was gonna give the middle finger. I said, boy, that boy quick. You gotta watch out for him. We couldn't number laugh. It went from he gonna be in trouble to now everybody just dying laughing, because he literally came up with that excuse and worked it out in his brain. Like you saw him go, ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah, I was practicing. Practicing for the robbers. Yeah, so let's just assume there's cameras everywhere. It's we're in a day and age when I love watching the crime shows, the First 48, Dateline, NBC and stuff. The way they solve some of these crimes. There was one I saw, there was a murder, and the way they caught him was they said, okay, well, if the house is here, there was a camera at a car wash like 2 blocks away, and they couldn't get a video of the car pulling off because it was dark. 2 blocks away, they saw the killer's car drive by the car wash, and that's how they got the plate. That's how they found out he was in the area. I was like, the car wash 2 blocks away is basically the camera that solved this murder. And I'm going, just assume there's cameras everywhere. So don't try to commit no crimes. Don't try to do nothing wrong, because there's been times I've been with my girl and been maybe a little tipsy or something, and like be on the elevator, like you know guys are like grab a butt, go in for a kiss, and then I notice like, wait a minute, there's cameras on the elevator. So I'm just thinking, I can't imagine, especially in Vegas, the stuff security officers, security guards, or people watching cameras from some of those casinos. I can't imagine some of the stuff they've seen on the elevators in Vegas. Because next time you get an elevator, look around, see if they got an elevator on that. See if they got a camera on the elevator. Hell, ask Solange, ask Jay-Z. Yeah, you're gonna just assume. Yeah. Sometimes I'll be in my own neighborhoods. I'll be like, so where I live, right by my house, there's a red light that's super long, and there's not a lot of traffic where I live. Sometimes I'll be looking around like, I'm gonna run that red light, and I ain't gonna lie, I've run it a couple times, because then just be sitting there, nobody's around, and I'll run it, and I just keep waiting for a check in the mail, or a ticket in the mail to come. Sorry about that. It was a dog. Clearly, see, the Amazon driver pulled up, and we got a video of the Amazon driver walking through their house. And that's another thing. Why are tiny dogs so obnoxious and loud? I've had 3 dogs in my life that were tiny. I had a schnoodle, a teacup Yorkie, and a Yorkie. And they all think they're 7 foot tall, and they bark at everything. Why is that? Why do these tiny dogs think they're huge? I don't understand it. I don't know. Anytime we order Ubereats, I'm like, oh my God, dude. You got to put the dog away. Got to put the dog away if somebody walks in the house. Got to put the dog away if somebody's coming to the door. You'd be having a nice, quiet day. And then, speaking of Ubereats, this is completely off topic, but does it bother anybody when you order Ubereats and they ask for the tip before the food gets there. That doesn't make sense to me. I tip after. It's almost like, I can't even say it's almost like anything. It's so weird. The few times I've tipped before the food got there, something was wrong with the food. Something was missing, the driver was late, something, I don't know. But then if I don't tip, usually it runs on time. I don't understand how Ubereats wants you to tip before the food gets there. No, you tip after it gets there. When everything's smooth and you got all your food, you got all your utensils. Not before. And now Ubereats, if you look at it, I always put no and I tip after. If I put no, then they say, you sure? Like, you want to give $1? It's almost like they're warning you. Like, look, we might mess up your order. Something might be missing. That driver might not be the cleanest. It's almost like you sure you don't? Why are you doing that, Ubereats? Why are you? And then you feel guilty. Am I the only one? I order Ubereats. I'm like, man, I ain't got a tip. Because you be seeing the videos on YouTube and stuff where they be going off on the person that didn't tip. And I'm just like, sometimes like, it's weird. Like, since I'm black famous, I never, if I see I got a black Ubereats driver, I never answer the door. I'd always just shoot leave it at the door, or ask somebody in the house and be like, can you get that? I don't want nobody to know where I live. That's just safety precautions, but it's so funny. I was talking to Eric Griffin about that. We was talking about Uber and Ubereats, and I go, I know it sounds bad, but sometimes I just want to get to my destination and be left alone. If I see I have a black Uber driver, I cancel it, and then I try to find an Arab, Asian, white, Latino, anybody not black, because I'd be like, if they recognize me, I gotta. And it's so funny because I did Eric Griffin's podcast a couple years ago, and we were having the discussion about Uber drivers, and I was like, I know it sounds bad if I say I don't want a black one. It's not that I don't like black people. It's just I don't want to be bothered. I don't want. And then it was so funny. I order an Uber leaving his house, and it's a black lady. And I told him, I'm going to risk it. So I get in this black lady's Uber, and immediately she goes, Gary Owen, and starts talking to me. And then she's literally at the red light taking selfies of me. She's like, yeah, get this picture, Gary. I can't believe you're in my car. And I'm like, this can't be happening. I just had the discussion with Eric, and it's happening. And then she says, let me get your info. I go, huh? She wanted my phone number. She said her son is in LA trying to be an actor, and she feels like I can help him. I go, oh, no, we're not doing that. I get out. Her son DMs me on Instagram and says, yeah, my mom said she dropped you off today and you were going to help me with my career. I was like, what? And the kid had to be like 18, 19 years old. I go, what just happened? I had to call Eric. I go, you're not going to believe this. We just had the discussion. I said, I know this sounds bad, but I don't like black Uber drivers because I'm worried something like this might happen. And that was the most obnoxious thing that's ever happened to me after I just had the discussion. It's, man, I can't believe it. It's like I had a flight attendant. It's funny how people just, I understand, like, you got to sell yourself. I get it. You got to pitch yourself. But there's a right time and a place for everything. So I was on a plane a couple weeks ago. My flight attendant came up. There's a guy, and he writes everything down on a napkin. He's got all these scripts that he wrote. He said him and his son, I think, do video work and ghostwrite and everything else. I'm like, do I look like I need help with my jokes? And then it was just interesting that the flight attendant told me he directs, he produces, and does all this stuff. And I'm just going, yeah. And I'm going, dude, not the time. Not the time. I mean, you got to realize when people are traveling like that, a lot of times we just want to rest and get to our destination. And I'm going, and nothing against flight attendants. I go, but what you're pitching me is way out of you being a flight attendant to pay your bills. So I was just like, I didn't know what to say. I was like, whoa. There's been a few moments in my career where I just went. Hey, this episode is brought to you by Blue Chew. Now listen, Blue Chew wants you to have the confidence to perform at your best. So discover your options at bluechew.com. Now, got a special deal for our listeners. Just try Blue Chew free. Repeat that, free, when you use the promo code GETSOME at checkout. You just pay $5 for shipping. That's bluechew.com, promo code GETSOME. Receive your first month free. Now listen, I know you're probably asking, does it work? Do you need it? Why don't you try it for a month? It's free. And see. I'm telling you, you're going to love it. Your partner's going to love it. I'm just saying you could be missing out on the best sex of your life. I mean, don't you want to be excited when the postman comes up and delivers a package that you've been waiting on? Listen, there's nothing sexier than having the confidence in the bedroom. And Blue Chew's going to give you that confidence when you're with your partner to handle business. So once again, try Blue Chew free. Did I say free? I'm going to say it again, free. When you use the promo code GETSOME at checkout, pay $5 for shipping. BlueChew.com, promo code GETSOME. Receive your first month. You already know what it's coming. Free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we'd like to thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. There was, I'll give you two more stories. There was one time, Tom Joyner used to do this thing. He used to do the Tom Joyner morning show on the road. And Tom's got a private plane, and it's a black plane with black pilots. And he calls it Jet Black Airlines. And it just so happened he was doing a live remote from Cincinnati. I came down just to say hi to Tom, and I got on the air for a few minutes. And he goes, Gary, where you headed? This is on the air. I was like, where you headed? I said, I'm in Atlanta. He said, oh, we're flying to Atlanta. I said, oh, I'm leaving at like 1 o'clock. He goes, man, get on a plane with us. I go, done. Canceled my flight on Delta. Flew with Tom on his private jet from Cincinnati to Atlanta. We get to Atlanta. I got a show that night. I called the promoter. I said, hey, I'm getting picked up at the private airport, not Atlanta International Airport. So driver pulls up. Tom has a full bedroom on the plane. So when we got on the plane, he closed the door. He was asleep. I never saw him. He got on the plane, went to bed. I got off. He was still asleep, I think. So my driver's there. I say later to everybody. So the driver thinks it's my plane. And I didn't persuade him otherwise. I didn't say, no, that ain't my plane. I said, yeah, nice plane. I go, yeah, it is nice. That's what I said. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a lot better than flying commercial. I'm like, yeah, it is. I never said it wasn't my plane, but I never said it was my plane either. So now we're driving to the hotel. This driver, in a 30-minute drive, told me to play for the Atlanta Braves, told me he helped start So Def with Jermaine Dupri, and there was something else. There was 3 things that were big money-making things. I just remember he used to play for the Atlanta Braves, started So Def with Jermaine Dupri, and then something else. And I'm just looking at him going, then why are you driving me? Either you're terrible with money or you're lying. And he just couldn't let the one go yeah, you just play for the Braves. Now, if you play for the Braves for like 1 year, yeah, you can't live off that. But I'm just going, so you were a professional baseball player and started So Def with Jermaine? Why are you my driver? I mean, you should have your own driver. So I'm just going, some people, the stories they tell, I go, not the time. Not the time. Like, even if it's true, I don't believe you. I did not believe you. There was, I'm trying to think, there's all the drivers' stories. 90% of the drivers are cool. I'm talking 90% of the Uber drivers I had was cool. 9% of the private car service I had, the drivers are cool, professional. I've had long, good conversations with drivers. I'm just telling you guys a few off-the-wall ones is what I'm doing. There was another guy in Milwaukee. Chicago. He picked me up. He was my driver. This is kind of when people were doing Uber, but it was still private. So the promoter had said he has me a driver, take me to the airport. This guy pulled up in like a Kia, right? But I don't think he was a normal driver because he had so much shit going on in this Kia. I remember he had put magazines in the back. I got in the back seat and he put magazines like in a holder. Then he had like some bottled water, some mints, and I was like, oh, something's not. The guy literally tells me this is before 9/11. This is when you could walk directly to the gate with somebody. So he tells me he got drafted by the Milwaukee Bucks this year. He was a young guy. This year. Why are you my driver in a Kia if you just got drafted by the Milwaukee Bucks? Then he starts telling me all these other wild stories. And then I'm sitting there going, oh my God. Like, yeah, I'm going to be a rapper and something about the NBA, and I'm going, oh, what is going on right now? And he just wouldn't shut up. And I go, dude, I just want to, this is before earbuds. I go, I just want to get to the airport. So we get to the airport. He walks me in. I'm going, what's he still doing with me? So this is, like I said, you can go through security. And he walked all the way to the gate and sat with me till I got on the plane. I go, and I guess sometimes I'm just too nice of a guy. I just want to be like, at this point I was amusing myself because the lies just kept going. I can't even articulate how many there was. The two that stuck out though was the Milwaukee Bucks just got drafted and was a rapper. And I'm going, there were so many more layered, and I was going, oh. So, but the one time I got somebody fired was, who had the TV show? Was D-Ray had a show, some kind of game show. And I just remember they picked me up from the hotel. The game show had a driver. I get in the car. The driver turns around with a mask, like a ski mask type deal. He said, I need you to put this on. And I looked at it, I was like, what the? He goes, I'm just kidding, man. And I'm going, terrible joke. Then he gives me a manila envelope with a script in it. He goes, hey, man, I wrote this script. I got a part for you. Da-da-da-da. So I'm going, I don't know what's going on right now. I get to the game show. I'm sitting there. I tell them, because he was like, yo, just here's my number. He had my number to call me, tell me he was downstairs to pick me up. He was like, yo, call me when you're wrapping up. I'm taking you back to the hotel tonight. I was like, all right. I get there. I pull one of the producers. I said, I don't want that driver. And they was like, huh? I go, yo, I got in the car. He tells me, turns around, gives me a ski mask. Not one with eyes in it, like fully covered. He says, I got to wear this for the ride. Then he handed me a script. And I never opened the middle envelope. I gave them the script. I go, I don't even know what's in this envelope. And they opened it, and that's when I saw this script. And I go, I don't want him to take me back to the hotel. And then, so they go, I'm there on set we did 3 episodes a day. I'm there like for 8 hours. I remember right after lunch. No, I remember we was at lunch. I was sitting with D-Ray eating lunch. And they go, Gary, yeah, we got a different driver. Take you back to the hotel. I said, oh, thanks. And D-Ray goes, you got a different driver? I said, bro. I go, the driver turned around and said, I got to put this on. And then D-Ray goes, did he give you a script? And I go, yeah. He goes, oh, yeah, I had that driver before. And I go, what? He goes, yeah, I've had that same driver. He did the same thing to me. And then he gave me a script that he wrote and he wants me to be in it. And I go, yeah, he did the same thing to me. And D-Ray's such an asshole. He goes, yeah, I just didn't tell on him. I was like, you're a dick. He was like, yeah. This ain't it. I just didn't narc. I didn't tell him. I said, well, I told. Because he got to get me back to my hotel tonight. And it's going to be at nighttime. I don't trust him. So, yeah. So there's a few funny Uber stories. So, anyways, this weekend, Dayton, Ohio. Everybody come out. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Gonna be at the Bengal game. We playing the Ravens. You see the orange and black. I'm nervous, man. Burrow's been balling, but it's just our run defense has been terrible. And what does Baltimore do? They run that rock, baby. Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. It's hard. I'm not supposed to like the Ravens because I'm a diehard Bengals. How you not like Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry? They say all the right things. They do all the right things. They're just good, amazing football players, good guys. They're playing the Bengals this week, and we're gonna have to outscore them because they're gonna run for 200 yards, and hopefully Burrow's locked in and he's got to throw for 200-300. And our running game's not doing bad either, but it's gonna be can we keep them off the field? I don't think either punter is going to be doing a lot this week. I'll put it like that. So if you're the Ravens punter, yeah, you can probably party Saturday night. You're probably not going to be doing much. And the Bengals punter, hopefully we got some long, sustained drives. It's going to come down to one or two drives. It's going to be a turnover, or it's going to be the Ravens defense stepped up and stopped us. But it should be close. Should be a close game, but it's a lot. Because the Bengals don't want to fall to 1-4, and the Ravens don't want to fall to 2-3. But it's gonna be a tough one. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not looking forward to it. I'll put it like that. So I'm still pulling for my squad. I'm still picking them. Just not looking forward to this game because I can see how it's gonna go. We're gonna be like take the lead, or we'll have like a 3-point lead, and Baltimore's gonna get the ball back with 6 minutes left and just do this long ass drive. And we're like, at that point, you're like, just let them score so we can get the ball back. That's how I look at it. So, because Jamar's so good. People talk about Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. I mean, Jamar Chase, come on now. That's a bad boy. Got to pay that dude. So anyway, yeah, I'll be in the building. I'll be in the building this weekend, this Sunday. And then afterwards, I'm going to bust my ass, get up to Dayton, and go to the show. So, Dayton, Ohio, Funny Bone this weekend. All right, y'all. This is Gary Owen with the Get Some Podcast.